Okay, so I wanted to go through and record a video about some of the bills that were on the Montana Sportsmen's Alliance 2017 legislative scorecard and talk about how I voted on those bills that were important to them as a special interest group, and then also why I may have agreed or disagreed, in most cases disagreed with their positions. And part of that came about due to some comments that I'll show you here. This person on Facebook wanted me to explain why my score was so low on this scorecard. And I said I would do a video on it, so here I am doing a video. And he says, in an area of Montana loaded with sportsmen, you seem to not be informed. I think I am informed. I think I just disagree with a lot of how this group approaches sporting in Montana and public lands and the approach to managing them. So I'm going to go through some of these bills here and show you which ones were important to them. This is the scorecard. I was able to vote on each of these except for this last one, which was a Senate resolution to confirm the chair of the Board of Outfitters. But I'll show you through these links what they were about and how I voted and why. So we'll start going through those. I'm going to open that in a new tab and we'll take a look at this bill to start with, which was sponsored by Tom Jacobson, Democrat from Great Falls. And if you click this link here, you can take a look at what the wording of the bill was. This one, the main idea was that it was going to increase fines if there was a failure to remove an encroachment on a property. This part of the law is in place already. The fine is $10 unless that changed in 2019. But he was going to raise it up to $500 for each day the failure to remove the encroachment continues. I thought that was kind of steep. I don't mind there being penalties, of course, if you're blocking a public road unjustifiably. But I thought the sticking point for me was the $500. So the board, the Montana Sportsmen's Alliance, they wanted this to go through. It did not, and I also voted no on it when it was on the House floor. All right, so the next one, revised laws related to state parks administration. Take a look at that one real quick. It was vetoed by the governor. It got to the governor's desk, and this is some of the idea of what the bill was about. Is in the title. Revising the administration of recreational resource programs and administratively attaching the state parks and recreation board to the Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and clarifying some board powers and duties related to state parks and boating. I did vote for this. I voted yes. The Montana Sportsmen's Alliance opposed this. It was sponsored by a Democrat, also from Great Falls, Brad Hamlet, and then of course some co-sponsors here, bipartisan. It's Republicans and Democrats in those names there. So I thought since it had bipartisan support and it sounded like a good idea to me, I voted yes. The Montana Sportsmen's Alliance comments on it were that they believe state parks are a valuable part of Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks and should be administered as a whole under FWP and their director, and avoiding administration and fiscal redundancy. I thought it was a good idea to move it to give state parks some more management and focus than being under FWP as it is now. And so there's a related bill, a similar one that came up, this revising the administration of state parks and related recreational programs in the House Bill 454. Take a quick look at that here as well. I opposed this one mostly for the reasons that it has here. So I agreed with the Montana Sportsmen's Alliance position on this one, that it might jeopardize these federal funding sources. There was debate about that, but this was one where I was on the same page with this group. So taking a look at the bill, let's go here and take a look. It did fail to pass. You can see the House floor votes here. And the text of the bill, you can see the new section here and some of how that would have looked. Similar to the last bill, except I think this one would have been under the Department of Commerce instead of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. So you can read that. It's House Bill 454. This one is 568. It was revised laws related to non-resident hunting. This was another one I believe I voted no on. I thought that I didn't have a terribly strong opinion on it. I just didn't know enough about it to really think that I should vote yes to change the current process. So I leaned toward no, and I thought 10% seemed kind of like an arbitrary amount or number for an allocation for non-resident hunters. So we'll take a quick look at this one. Again, not one I had strong feelings about, but just didn't know enough about it to feel like I should change the system as it was. So it strikes a lot of current law, and then sets up an allocation of licenses or permits issued for species must be issued to non-residents. So that's what that was about in short. Okay, so next one, revised laws related to public access projects. The MSA opposed what they thought was a redundant creation of a special public land access advocate who reported to the State Land Board. Both FWP and DNRC already had these positions. I voted yes. I thought even having one more person that advocated for public lands seemed like a good idea to me. I don't know why this was opposed. I don't think it really would have been redundant. You can see that there was a close vote on this, 47 and 53. It did fail in the process. So this didn't go through, but I did vote yes on it. I supported it. You can see in the title of the bill, that's what its purpose was about, creating public access projects and a public lands access advocate. So again, I thought it was a good idea. I don't know why it failed. So again, going back to the votes on it here, you can always click on these links and look at who voted yes, who voted no. You can see my vote there, and the yeas and the nays. I can do more on how to access this system as well. This is online, Montana Legislature, with detailed bill information with internet links and PDF links to the wording of the bill, fiscal notes to show how much it's projected to have cost, and then the votes as it goes through the process, and the sponsor, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the next one. This one, kind of a hot topic for me and a lot of legislators, and you can see that it's a resolution. Resolutions don't have to be signed or approved by the governor because they don't change the law. They just make a statement. You can see it passed ultimately on third reading, so for 60 to 40, I voted yes, and I voted yes because I have some notes here. The wilderness study areas were supposed to be or supposed to expire several times by now, and the feds were to make a decision as to what to do with these large areas of lands decades ago. And yet they continue to keep these large areas of land in limbo, legal limbo, about what we can use them for, or if we're going to ultimately protect them. I voted yes because it's time to choose one direction or the other, and these special interest groups like Montana Sportsmen Association, they don't want the wilderness designation to go away. They feel like federal and land will be transferred to the state and private interests if we do that. So I think that's a scenario that's not going to happen. I think it's a scare tactic to keep these lands locked up except as a hiker's playground. They don't like motorized use in these lands. I think we should have more motorized use in some of these areas, and I think it's one way that it keeps the public out in ways that they would otherwise be able to use these lands. So I think it's time for a change, and that's why I voted yes on this resolution. Again, it doesn't change law. It just makes a statement to the federal government and federal delegation to say that Montana wants these taken care of and changed and something to happen. So they did oppose it. I voted yes. So this one, joint resolution honoring public lands. I didn't vote for this one. Again, a resolution that doesn't change law. It doesn't really do anything other than make a public statement. I think we can honor our public lands in ways other than making a resolution just to say that we do. So SD 32, this is one that had wide bipartisan support. It did get signed by the governor, and it was to clarify shooting from a vehicle for hunting purposes. MSA opposed it. You can see their reason here. I think they're a little cynical about why the bill was being clarified. Like I said, most felt like me, same as the governor, where it had bipartisan support and it just clarified what hunting from a vehicle means. So we know where the law is clearly. You can see I voted yes. 87 yeses out of 100 representatives, and only 11 noes and 2 absent. Okay, and then the last one that I was able to vote on is here. And this one, let's take a look here. I did vote yes, 62 yeses. Just a quick look at the wording. The main idea of this was that it revised rulemaking authority for reporting required by the Board of Outfitters. And the main idea is that the operations, this is the main change here, the operations plans must be updated at least annually and report all forms of use of private land acreage where licensed outfitters are authorized by the landowner to operate, except that use of private lands that allow unrestricted public access and are managed under cooperative agreements with adjacent public lands is not required to be reported. So I don't think that was really that big of a change. The MSA opposed it because they felt like it was a dismantling of the system for the oversight and accounting of outfitters' activities in Montana, and removing the Board of Outfitters, Board of Outfitting reporting. So I voted yes. I didn't think it was a big change. I think it would have helped, and it did. Let's see, how did that one end up? Let's take a look real quick. It was transmitted to the governor and vetoed by the governor. So that's how that one went. So that one was struck down before being implemented as law. All right, so that is an overview of those bills and this legislative scorecard from the Montana Sportsmen Alliance, and why I scored low on their card, and why I get comments that I don't support sportsmen, which isn't true, of course. I don't see how, my reasoning for opposing most of these bills opposes sportsmen in general or public land advocates in general. That's not true. I have obviously a different approach and different philosophy for how I think public land should be used, including motorized use, and I think that groups like Montana Sportsmen Alliance want to lock up these lands for their own almost private use in a way, and what you are able to do on public lands, and kind of make it a hikers and hunters playground, which isn't meant to be just that. And so I would like greater use, a wider, broader array of uses, and groups like this don't. And so that's why I wanted to make this video and show you why I'm getting comments like I did, and why I feel that it's not fair or right, and my reasoning for these laws that were proposed and how I voted on them. So if you have special topics or other topics, or you want me to show you how to use this system of looking up bills, I can do that in another video. If you have questions on this video, it'll be posted where you can make comments or get a hold of me, and we can talk about any one of these subjects or other subjects more. So thank you.